Hello and welcome to this week's Different League show, sponsored by Betfred. So we're heading for a second lockdown, but it does mean that we can watch more football at home. Thankfully, elite sports and football in particular will be able to continue. It also might mean we can watch more of this guy, Clinton Morrison. He's alongside Mark Langdon and myself. Is he classed as a key worker working on Soccer Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. What would you say?
Definitely. I want to watch more of you.
Oh, thanks.
Listen, let's touch on the decision on lockdown, not the political one. I'm not going to ask you to be the PM or the chief scientific advisor. Might do a better job, I don't know. But look, how important was it for us, for the nation, that actually elite sport and football in particular is able to continue? Were you worried that it perhaps wouldn't be?
I was worried, but then at the back of my mind, I thought, nah, the Premier League and all the elite football would continue. I'm probably a bit more disappointed that grassroots hasn't continued, especially with my sons playing. And it's strange how kids can go to school, but then they can't play grassroots football. But obviously that's for another day. But I'm just happy the Premier League's up and running. The Championship can still go League One and League Two. So I think we need that. Because we're going into a lockdown, you need to watch football.
Yeah, I mean, look, professional sport is not the same as working in the NHS or teaching as well. Yeah. But it's almost the most important, non-important thing out there, isn't it? How important is it for you from a mental health point of view and for the nation as well generally?
Yeah, when we went into lockdown before, I didn't find it a struggle. I kind of did fitness. You have to keep yourself busy. So I just kept getting fit. I was thinking since I retired, I put on a bit too much weight. So I thought, and when your kids are saying, Dad, your belly's sticking, you think to yourself, I'm going to go and
They're honest, aren't they?
Yeah, they are honest. I'm going to do some exercise. So I did exercise, but people need the football. I think it's so important, Scott. And I just think all the games should be live on the TV so they're on people, because it is a struggle. You can't go out your house. You can probably just go for walks. And that's what I encourage people to do, go for long walks, and it clears your mind.
Clinton makes a really good point, one about the professional sport, but also grassroots as well. Disappointed that's not the case, or can you understand?
I can understand it, but I still think that you can be disappointed and understand it at the same time. And there is a comparison to be made with schools, and if they can go to school, why can't they, play football or any other kind of sport? But I suppose it's just seen that education is absolutely necessary, and this is just fun at the end of the day. But hopefully it won't be too long, and we can get back and the boys and girls can get playing football and the other sports again.
And of course it obviously means a further delay in getting the fans back as well in the stadium.
I think that's the biggest, well, maybe not the biggest issue, but it's one of the biggest issues facing football. When you see teams like Barcelona asking their players to take another wage cut because they can't afford the wage bill, and then you look at what's happening in League Two, it just can't go on for too much longer. You do fear for a lot of these sort of community clubs if this goes on for another 6 months or so.
Okay, let's touch on the Champions League, shall we? The games that we saw last night, which was, first of all, Liverpool. I mean, they went top of the league last weekend in the Premier League, but how impressive were they at Atalanta?
Oh, really impressive. I thought Atalanta would give them more of a game, to be fair, but he changed it. He brought Jota in. A lot of people had been saying bring Jota in and Firmino come out, and Jota was outstanding. And he played through the middle, and his pace caused problems. So probably Liverpool thought Atalanta were going to dominate the ball and they'll play on the counter-attack. But I think the front three of Jota, Mane and Salah, they caused them all sorts of problems. And also the young boy Williams coming into centre-half, he played ever so well alongside Joe Gomez. And I thought he was outstanding, so full credit to him.
Jones in midfield as well. And we'll come on to the Jota versus Firmino in a bit, but he's made some impact, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. I mean, I think Jurgen Klopp was saying he's sort of surprised by how much of an impact he's made, and I forget the exact phrase. It was something like, I didn't realise he was this good, which is a backhanded compliment, I suppose.
40 odd million.
Yeah, I think what it is probably, I mean, Klopp would have known the potential there, but it was realising that so quickly. And I don't think there were many that expected him to put this kind of pressure on Firmino, particularly so soon into his Liverpool career. But he's difficult to leave out when he keeps on scoring goals and making the impact that he is.
And you have to say, it's 5 straight wins in all competitions since Virgil van Dijk got injured.
Yeah, overrated.
Coping okay,
you'd still I'm sure Jurgen Klopp and every Liverpool fan would still rather he was at the back alongside Gomez.
Definitely. It almost makes City's 3-0 win against Olympiacos at home not really that impressive.
No, exactly. I think you're spot on. But it was, yeah. Man City were good. Torres looked really sharp up front, Ferran Torres. He looks really good, I know. And they've got Jesus. He comes off the bench. He's back now, scoring goals. So Pep's clever. He's got all these players coming back for the big game against Liverpool this weekekend.
Yeah, was that important for City as well as Liverpool as well? Getting that win, it's 3 wins from 3 now and dominating the group.
Yeah, we're about to enter another hectic period, but with Christmas sort of coming up, I mean, that's always a bad time for Premier League teams anyway. It's even worse this year because of the amount of games. So to be able to sort of get Champions League qualification done if they can, by match day 4, that ability to rest players for the last 2 games, it could be absolutely vital, because I think in the Premier League, some of the big teams, even all around Europe, have struggled just with the amount of games that they've had to play.
So just looking ahead quickly to tonight then, Chelsea-Rennes. Important for Frank Lampard to keep on that winning run as well, and again try to dominate the group, even though they haven't won every game.
Yeah, definitely. I think Chelsea are starting to hit form now. Frank did say, and he came out and said when people were doubting him, the players that he's brought in, it will take time to gel, but you can see now the likes of Havertz, Ziyech, Timo Werner, they're starting to perform. And in particular, Thiago Silva, I thought him and Zuma building a really good partnership, and they sorted out the goalkeeper situation, Mendy. So I think Chelsea will do well in the Champions League, and I think they'll be title contenders as well now.
Do you?
Yes, I do. I actually do. I think the squad is good enough. If you look at some of the big players they've got, Hudson-Odoi is not playing. Olivier Giroud, Tammy Abraham, Kovacic, the list goes on. Chelsea's squad is really good. It's one of the best squads there is in the Premier League.
Which one do you think they got more likely of doing the best in?
I think I'd say the Premier League. They've got a good chance of winning. I still make Liverpool favourites, but I think Chelsea have got a really good chance. But I could be wrong. I'm not always right, Scott.
You're not always right, just most of the time, 95% of the time. It's an interesting one for United in Istanbul, isn't it?
Very strange, really, United's performance in the Champions League compared to what we've seen in the Premier League. I mean, they were 2 brilliant results, away to Paris, and then didn't just beat Leipzig. They've, absolutely put them to the sword. So, for some reason, I can't really understand why they're doing better in the Champions League.
Neither can Ole Gunnar Solskjaer
No,
either.
and I mean, there's maybe a bit that they could play on the counter-attack in both of those 2 matches, and there was a lot of space in behind, particularly against Leipzig, who didn't defend how you should defend against Manchester United. Başakşehir, I suspect, will defend deeper, and actually they caused Paris a few problems last week. I never really trust United to win games at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, let's look ahead to the weekend's game, shall we? Before the next international break, of course. A game preview 1, Friday evening, Brighton against Burnley. Brighton won just 1 of the last 12 Premier League home games now. Narrowly lost to Spurs, who I think I'm being outflanked here by Spurs fans, aren't I? What have you made of Brighton so far this season?
I was at the Tottenham game. I thought Brighton were the better team. I think Tottenham were really lucky. I thought Brighton looked really good. They kept the ball for long periods, and it's just their finishing. They're always trying to score the perfect goal. I like what Potter's done, the style of play, but they need to be a bit more ruthless. They're trying to score that perfect goal, and then they didn't have Neil Maupay because we've heard he thinks he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder.
He thinks it's Lionel Messi.
Yeah, he does, and that doesn't surprise me because I can see him on the pitch the way he plays. He would upset me if I was on the football pitch as well.
Really?
That would be a bit of a clash, me and him.
You'd give it 100%.
That's what I would. I was a bit like him probably, but I wouldn't take it to the same level of where I'm probably disrespecting my manager and probably my teammates. But I think Brighton will beat Burnley though. I think they will beat them, especially being at home.
Okay, what did you make of the decision to not have Neil Maupay even in the squad? Allegations of his inflated ego and arguing with teammates and manager.
Well, I mean, you didn't believe Potter's sort of statement after the game when he said it was for tactical reasons, because you could maybe use a tactical reason to not start him, but he's on the bench. Without knowing exactly what he's done, it's difficult to know. But I mean, Potter has to have sort of full command of the dressing room, and if he feels like that's the right decision, then it is the right decision. The problem is that they haven't, when you take him out of the team, they haven't got anybody as good as him to come in.
Yeah, you still have to, as a manager, the players look at you, don't they, and see the decisions you make, see how far a line people can cross. And I think Graham Potter, his man management, absolutely superb. Burnley, well beaten by Chelsea. Bottom of the table, though they do have a game in hand. Worst start in their history. I'm trying to look for some positives here. How worried should Burnley fans be that this is the year that they do go down?
Slightly worried, but I don't think they will. Just because of Sean Dyche, and I know what type of manager he is, and they've had a few injuries. The injuries are starting to come back, get back. I think they miss Ben Mee. I think the partnership with Tarkowski is really good, and obviously Wood's back with Barnes. They've got a lot of good attacking options. I like the White McNeil. I think this could be his last year at Burnley, whether they stay up or don't stay up, because I think he's exciting. He's a player who can go play for a big team in the Premier League. So they have got a lot of good players, and I just think the togetherness and the way Sean Dyche manages that team, I think Burnley will be all right. But they need to start picking up points soon, Scott.
Your Betfred selection, no, they're not going to pick up soon
No,
with this game?
not this game. I'm going to go for Brighton to win.
Brighton to win, Mark?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Brighton to win. I listened to Clinton on Sunday and he said they played well, so I'll take that.
Yeah, I think there's one goal in this. I think both teams don't score many, but I think Brighton will get it. Okay, game preview 2, also Friday night. Southampton, Newcastle, 2 teams with excellent results at the weekend. And if Southampton win this particular game, for a day at least, they go top. That's incredible, especially after what happened against Spurs, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. When I saw what happened against Spurs, I tipped Southampton to struggle to be down there all season. But you have to credit the management team at Southampton and the players. And James Ward-Prowse against Aston Villa, the 2 free kicks and the delivery for Vestergaard's goal, superb. He's probably one of the best free kick takers in the Premier League at the moment. And they've got Danny Ings scoring goal. I'm just worried, will he be fit? I know the knee injury is not as bad, but I think the way Southampton have started this season, credit to the management team and obviously to the group of players. Yeah,
just on Ward-Prowse as well. How good is he technically? Where do you see him on an international level?
I think it's difficult to put him in the team just because of the set pieces, and there is more to his game than that. But when if Grealish can't get into the England team, I'd rather see Grealish in there, before we get Ward-Prowse in there. But certainly from, he picked Trippier, and he does pick Trippier a lot for the set piece delivery. So I can see Ward-Prowse definitely being part of that 23 for the European Championship, just because of if you do need a goal with 20 minutes to go, that having somebody that can just put that ball in the box, like the way that he does, could be massive with Maguire and people like that attacking it.
Set piece is absolutely crucial in today's game. Great win for Newcastle against Everton. I didn't actually see the win, but I thought Everton might struggle. But they might look at Southampton conceding 3 goals. Danny Ings probably out, and think we've got a chance here.
Yeah, I mean, they're a funny old team, Newcastle. Whenever I watch them, they don't play very well, and you wonder where they pick their points up. But they always, and last year was exactly the same. I do think last week against Everton, they played Everton at spot on time. They were missing too many players to be able to cope, and they took full advantage of that.
Talk about Southampton could go top for a day at least. Newcastle would go top 4 for a day at least. I mean, that in itself is incredible from Steve Bruce, isn't it? And Callum Wilson, how well do you feel he's doing? I love that battle with Yerry Mina.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I know Steve Bruce, obviously, he's one of my best managers, and Steve Bruce is tactically really good, and he's very good at man management. So he's done a terrific job. I know Newcastle fans weren't happy him going in, and probably some are still not happy with the style of play. But it's a results business, this football, and he is getting results. As for Callum Wilson, someone I played with in my younger days at Coventry, exciting player. The battles he's come back from his knee injury, he's really determined. And that is what Newcastle were missing, a number 9 who wants to score goals. His goals he's scoring, Scott, in and around the 6-yard box. That's where I want my centre forwards. And it was a good battle with Yerry Mina. He tried to put him off, he gave him a little elbow, have some of that, and then shushed him after that. And that's what you like. That's what happens, and that's the heat of the moment. They shook hands up at the end of the game, but Callum Wilson's been a really good signing for Newcastle.
And it didn't affect him. He put the ball in the back of the net after that, didn't he? And it was a long time. And you made your career in the 6-yard box as well. So absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay, your Betfred selection for this game.
But I've just gone for Southampton just to win it by 1 goal.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with or without Danny Ings, I think the way Southampton are playing at the moment, they'll win the game.
It's a full house. I think there'll be goals from both ends, but I think Southampton win. Okay, game preview 3. It is Everton against Manchester United. A long time in politics, a long time in football as well, isn't it? I mean, it wasn't that long ago everyone was saying a fantastic win for United, Leipzig, and obviously Everton with their great start to the season. But let's touch on United first, shall we? And couldn't break Arsenal down. Arsenal's fully deserved to win that game. Roy Keane very scathing with his comments afterwards about no leaders. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, having played with Roy for Ireland, he doesn't care who he upsets. He upset me a few times, but that's just the way he is.
Yeah.
He's a winner. When you've won everything like that, you can make comments
right?
like that. He is right. I think they weren't good enough against Arsenal. You can't play like that against RB Leipzig, against Paris Saint-Germain, and then play like that against Arsenal. They didn't create anything. And I agree with what Paul Scholes says. Why are you playing, if you're going to play a diamond, you don't need to play McTominay and Fred, two midfielders that are exactly the same. Play Van der Beek, more attacking style of football. We're talking about Man United here, and they struggled to create anything against Arsenal. Arsenal fully deserved it. It's not good enough for Man United. That's why I think there's pressure under Ollie at this precise moment.
Yeah, these players will lose Ollie his job, was the quote from Roy as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, players always, any group
No
of players
change
will.
there, then.
No, I mean that's always going to be the case. I mean, I do think that a lot of the Man United pundits are quite protective of Solskjaer on TV, and it's always the players' fault and very rarely Solskjaer's fault. And I suppose it's very difficult to criticise someone if they're a friend or they've been through a lot together. But
you can.
Well, yeah, I've said all along that he was very lucky to get the job. If he didn't have the Manchester United job, he wouldn't get any of the other big jobs. He's picked up a lot of good results in the Champions League that need to be sort of credited for that, because you can't blame him for the defeats and then say the players have won in games. So he's done well in parts, but the team selection just looks odd, and the substitutions were even odder because they ended up with just no shape to their play in that last 20 minutes. There was no width. You bring on Cavani, you need somebody to cross the ball into him, and they just completely seem to lose their way in that game.
Mauricio Pochettino in the Monday Night Football studio saying he's ready to get a job as
Yeah,
well.
I did watch
Interesting.
it.
I mean, so many individual players you could talk about United, but Paul Pogba's the star.
Yeah.
How do you see him? Should he be playing? Why is Solskjaer not getting the best out of him? And I have to say, Solskjaer isn't the only one, but is he not being dealt with in the correct way, or
maybe
what?
we always when we talk about Man United, we always seem to talk about Paul Pogba just because of the reputation that comes with him. But he is a star. Obviously, Bruno. They're looking at Bruno Fernandes and saying he's the star man now. But for me, Paul Pogba is one of the best midfielders in world football.
So why aren't we seeing that?
It's a strange one. I don't know if he's playing him in the right position. Like now he's playing him to the left. But then if you look what he did for Juventus when he was playing alongside Pirlo, he played to the left. So was he playing with better players then at Juventus and for France? Are they better players? Because he's a talent, Paul Pogba. I think he needs a manager to get the best out of him. I think that manager, I'm not saying Ollie's going to lose his job, because I don't think he will lose his job. I think he'll have it for the season. But someone like a Pochettino, I think could get the best out of Paul Pogba. I think he's a player that needs to be loved, an arm around the shoulder. I don't know if Ollie does that and say we're going to build the team around you, because he's a fantastic talent, but we're just not seeing that potential at this precise moment.
Do you see him at United next season?
Depends. If Ollie's still there, no, I don't see him. If it's a new manager, then I do see him at Man United, yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Everton, because you're right, they weren't good enough, were they, without Richarlison and James Rodriguez, and it shows how important those two players are.
And the two behind them with Digne and Coleman as well. I mean, so that was... Even like when Man City are missing a few players, you sort of say, oh yeah, but they didn't win the league last year because Laporte got injured or whatever. And Everton are not in a position where they can carry 4 first teamers being out at the moment. And I think Ancelotti will need another 2 or 3 transfer windows before they'll be able to be in that position. Like say where Tottenham are now, where they have got that depth of squad. They've got a couple of those players coming back. Particularly Digne's back this weekend, and there was Ancelotti said he thought that James would be okay. So you might see a better Everton, but clearly outside of their best sort of 11 or maybe 12, 13 players, they just don't go deep enough.
Digne's back. Left back's the most important position on the pitch. We all know that.
Definitely, because you were the best at it.
Well,
Scott.
thank you. Keep talking. How do you see this game developing, and what is your Betfred selection?
Yeah, I think I think Everton will be good on the day, but my Betfred selection is that Man United are just going to win this by a single goal. Yeah, I just believe there's Everton. I agree with Mark. I think Everton need to have their best 11 on the pitch. When they have their best 11, they're a better team. But I just think Man United will just have too much for them.
Just on Everton as well, how do you see their season developing, and what should they be aiming for? Top 4, top 6?
I said at the start of the season, top 6, and I still think that is right. Top 6 and maybe win a trophy. I think that Everton fans will be happy. But if they can get into Europe and win a trophy, they will be happy.
Okay, your Betfred selection?
I'm going to go for a draw. Everton have already drawn with Liverpool this season, so they are a tougher nut to crack. And United, as I mentioned earlier, I just never really fancy them to win games at the moment. They just don't dominate enough matches.
Yeah, United are 15th. Everton looking to avoid 3 straight defeats. The glass is half empty, but then it could change after this game as well. But I'm with you. I think I'm going to go for a draw on this one. Okay, game preview 4. One that Clinton will look forward to, I'm sure. Crystal Palace against Leeds. Palace not good enough really against Wolves, were they? I mean, they went down to 10 men. But what are you making of your old side?
Yeah, they've had a good start to the season, but against Wolves, nowhere near good enough. The attacking players they got, it's like they waited for Wolves to score and then thought second half, we're going to start playing. By then, it's too late. We're 2-0 down, and you've got a mountain to climb. And Wolves are really good at defensively. They keep their shape and play counter-attacking football. So for me, no, Palace weren't good enough. They've been good this season, in particular Wilfried Zaha. I think he's been outstanding this season.
His 5 league goals are worth 7 points to Crystal Palace. That's the most of any individual to their team. Do they rely on him far too much? Far
too much. They need to get goals from other areas. Palace, they're the worst in the Premier League, I think, through creating chances and hitting the target. So
why is that, do you think?
It's just the way Roy sets up. Everyone knows what Roy is, and it's hard to beat. And let's play on the counter-attack. Let's cause problems with Townsend, Batshuayi, Zaha and Jeffrey Schlupp. But the others need to start contributing and getting goals. And that's just the way Roy is. He's not going to change. He's not going to, all of a sudden, Palace fans are screaming for him to play attacking football. That's not Roy Hodgson. He ain't going to change because people are screaming at him. And it's been good for Crystal Palace. But I can understand why sometimes the fans get frustrated, because there's a lot of talent in that squad and they want to see these players, go out and showcase their talent. But at the moment, he's getting results, so we can't complain.
So if you were playing up front for Palace, what would you be saying in the dressing room? Would you be knocking on Roy's door and
saying,
say,
Roy, come on, Roy. Tell him to get crosses in the box. I score goals in the 6-yard box. Just get I might not do much in a game, but just get crosses. But I've got huge respect for Roy. When I go to Crystal Palace, I always speak to him. Just the way he is, he's not going to change. And I think all the players have bought into it. Because if you look at someone like Wilfried Zaha, his talent, he's buying into it and he's getting goals and causing problems. But I think they need goals from Batshuayi, Jordan Ayew, and in particular Christian Benteke when they given a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Leicester were excellent against Leeds. I thought the scoreline was a little bit harsh. Patrick Bamford had 2 really good chances in the first half, but you know what it's like. Goals change matches, don't they? I mean, we're good in the second half, but showed naivety. What did you make of them?
Leicester can do that to you, like they are very good on the counter-attack. I still felt that Leeds played reasonably well, and I know this upsets and angers quite a lot of sort of people that don't support Leeds, because people go on and say, yeah, but they're playing really well, and you could sort of compare them to, say, Newcastle, who maybe don't play so well, but seem to pick up, the same amount of points, or if not more, So that there is that about them, that they probably need to pick up sort of more points than plaudits as the season goes on. But I think Bielsa will always look at sort of the bigger picture, and that's, have they played how they want them to, have they done all the right things, and just these things happen, I think, in football. He's quite philosophical about that, and he's not going to change.
We saw a lot of Leeds, of course, Clinton. I mean, have you been impressed by the performances in the Premier League? And it's about performances, or the best way to get results is do good performances, and then eventually in the long term, the results will come, surely. I mean, what have you made of them this season?
No, I think they've been outstanding. You know what they're like, Scott. They work hard. They're probably one of the fittest teams in the Premier League. They were when they were in the Championship when they came up, and they are in the Premier League. They've got a lot of it. They've got a few injuries. I think Calvin Phillips, when you have your best holding midfielder who's injured, and now Click's trying to do that job, and he's better further forward. So it is difficult, and at centre halves, they brought in Llorente. He hasn't played yet for them. They've brought in good signings. When they can get everyone fit, Leeds will be fine this season. I thought they just played Leicester, and tactically, I think Brendan Rodgers was better than Bielsa on the night, and that was it.
Spot on. Betfred selection for this one then?
I see. I've gone with my heart. I can't. And I was going to go for a draw, but I can't. So I'm going to go for a Crystal Palace win.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. I could be wrong, Scott. That could be the only one I get wrong.
On this one,
exactly.
I'm going to go for Leeds to bounce back.
I'm only joking.
I mean, the way they, it was only a week ago they were destroying Aston Villa, and I was really disappointed with Palace on Friday.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm going against Clinton on this one. I think
I agree.
We are mates, but not on this level.
I agree, mate.
Not on this level. I think they'll be difficult to break down Palace, home or away. As you say, they're very well organised. I can see maybe a draw half time, but Leeds breaking them down full time. A Leeds win there. We'll see. Game preview 5, Chelsea against Sheffield United. And Chelsea had an excellent victory against Burnley, didn't they? And Hakim Ziyech, I have to say, was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've sort of said about some of the Chelsea new signings that they need time to settle, and Thiago Silva had a bad start against West Brom. Timo Werner was quite quiet early on. Havertz didn't show much in the opening couple of games, and yet someone like Ziyech has come in and straight away has added a new dimension to the team. He played really well for Ajax, so it maybe shouldn't be a massive surprise, and he cost a fair few quid. So you are expecting him to do well eventually, but I think it's the speed at which he's picked up the pace of the Premier League. Also played well in the Champions League against Krasnodar. There will be tougher tests than Burnley and Krasnodar for sure, but he is a big threat, and if he can sort of slip them balls through to Timo Werner, that's a good relationship.
There was a bit of criticism for Frank Lampard at the start of the season, which I thought was harsh. Yeah. But getting that balance right is difficult. 4 clean sheets now in all competitions, 7 goals scored in the last 2 games. Is he getting just that, the balance right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you trust, no, I'm not being bad on Kepa here, but if you trust your goalkeeper, which I think the defence and the players do in Mendy, who's been excellent since he's come in, I think that's a big plus. And obviously Thiago Silva, I think he's been outstanding with Zuma. They played ever so well. It's good news now that Rudiger's obviously coming back into the squad, because I still think he's a really good defender, and I think they've got lots of options. Chilwell, when we talk about the attacking players, you forget about Ben Chilwell. I think he's excellent. Alonso and Emerson love going forward, but he can defend. He goes forward and can defend as well. So they've got a lot of good players there. As I said earlier, I think Chelsea's got a great chance of challenging for the title, and Frank and Jody are doing a really good job. Some
very good signings there. The best one so far for me, and he's only come in and played half a dozen games, Mendy. I think the difference he's made to the defence has been absolutely fantastic. Sheffield United, again, not putting in a bad performance, but again, not getting the result they wanted. Again, not really creating any chances. It's been a tough start for Chris Wilder, hasn't it?
It has also been a tough run of games for them. They went to Arsenal the other week, then they went to Anfield, they hosted Man City, now they go to Stamford Bridge. I mean, you take all of those games in isolation. If they lose all of them, you're probably not that concerned about them. The fact that it happens all together,
condensed at the start of the season.
It makes things, and even sort of some of the home games like Leeds, that's going to be a difficult game. I suppose the one where you look at and think, well, the Fulham performance, that was where they maybe were targeting 3 points. But if you're not winning games, it's then difficult to start winning them, and the confidence dips a little bit. They've had a few injuries. I still feel like they'll be okay over the course of 38 matches, and I feel like Chris Wilder will eventually get it right. But it's going to be quite close, I think, in terms of relegation.
I'm with you on that one. It almost feels like there's about 5 teams that could be in danger of just falling away, and Sheffield United obviously one of them. But I think the performances show that the character is there and the confidence is not gone. But they're not creating many chances. They're not scoring the goals. Again, what would you be saying if you were part of Chrissy Wilder's side? And for you, is Ryan Brewster the answer? How good do you think he can be?
He can be really good. It's going to take time. He's obviously went on loan to Swansea last season and scored a lot of goals for them. But Premier League's a big step up. But I do like him. He's a natural born finisher, but I don't know if Sheffield United will create enough chances for him. That's the only thing. But I think he's good. I think him and Matt Burnley could play well. I'd like to see McGoldrick with him. I think McGoldrick's a clever player. He doesn't play up against centre-halves, drops into pockets and can create stuff. So they've got attacking options, but it's difficult. It is difficult, the Premier League. As you said, the run of games that they've had, and they picked up no points. And it's confidence. You get confidence in the dressing room. Confidence is probably low at the moment. But with Chris Wilder, the manager who's done ever so well, I think Sheffield United will just about be all right this season.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Betfred selection for this game then at the Bridge?
Definitely a Chelsea win.
So Chrissy won't be okay in this
It won't
game.
be okay, but Chelsea are so good. They're flying at the minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Chelsea to win and under 3.5 goals. That bet landed against Man City, against Arsenal and against Liverpool. So Sheffield United to be competitive in defeat.
Yeah, Chelsea, I feel, and actually to win both halves. I think they'll come out the traps fast and we'll get another very good win for Frank Lampard and Jody Morris. Game preview 6, it is West Ham against Fulham. East London versus West. And West Ham were unlucky against Liverpool. I'm not having that as a penalty on Mo Salah, but maybe that's a bit of bias in me. I don't know. But still positive to take, isn't it?
Yeah, there was loads of positives. I thought West Ham were really, really good. Without Mikel Antonio, their talisman, who's been brilliant this season, and I feel like he's the main man for them, alongside obviously Declan Rice, who's been brilliant as well. But they did good. The players like Fornells and stuff, they've come in, Bowen, they've done well this season. So I think West Ham, they didn't start well at the start of the season. Obviously when David Moyes got COVID and he was at home, Alan Irvine.
100% record.
Yeah, Alan Irvine was flying, but they'll be fine, West Ham. They won't be fighting relegation. And yeah, I see a lot of positives for West Ham this season.
We talked about Sheffield United's run of fixtures. I mean, coming to the end now, or we're at the end now for West Ham as well. It has been tough. I've said this over a few weeks. I'm going to say it one last time. It was difficult. Arsenal, Wolves, Leicester, Spurs, City, Liverpool.
Yes.
Now it's Fulham. These are the games you'd expect to win. West Ham fans will know.
No.
I mean, they have to win this one, don't they?
Yeah, but we had Colton Cole on one when they were on during the really sort of bad start, and he said, well, you know, West Ham will be fine. This is what happens. We lose games that we're expected to win, and then we pick up points when we're not. And you said exactly the same. So this will probably be having West Ham fans more nervous than sort of the trip to Tottenham or the trip to Arsenal, because it's a game they're expected to win, and with that brings its own pressures that they haven't always coped well with in the past.
Fulham got their first win of the season. How much of a relief for the Fulham side and Scott Parker in particular?
Yeah, it felt like it was coming the week before, and then they were turned over by Palace, and so it was, I think, imperative that they got a reaction, because the performances outside of that Palace one, and even some of the wasn't. Even against Palace, they had their moments where maybe things could have been different in the first half, particularly. So I felt like performances had got better from where they started, and I think the signings that he made just before the window closed have made a big difference. It gives them a chance of staying up. Whether it's enough, I'm not so sure, but it does give them a better chance.
Here's a stat for you. Alexander Mitrovic has scored with just 3 of his last 74 shots in the Premier League. That dates back to January 19, so obviously not last season.
Yeah.
How can they get the best out of him? What do you see? Why is it not quite happening for him, where it didn't really happen 2 seasons ago either? Is he one of those players that's too good for the Championship and struggles in the Premier League?
You could say that, but I think he can score goals in the Premier League. I think he needs crosses into the box, and Fulham have struggled recently.
You're all about the crosses, aren't you?
Yeah, because he needs that. He just wants to attack it. He's not going to be one of those centre forwards that you can slide in and he's going to beat the centre half for pace. He's not him. He's a back to goal kind of man. Wants crosses. I think they will start creating chances. Decadova, he made an assist for him, Mitrovic. If he's not scoring, he's still in the game assisting. And I think the signing of Lookman has been really good. He looks really exciting. And Loftus-Cheek didn't even play on the weekend, and I'm looking at him thinking he's exceptional talent. Chelsea have let him go to Fulham, so I was happy for Scott Parker. I think Scott is doing a reasonable job there at Fulham, and I hope Fulham do stay up.
It's a really tough job of that, no doubt, whoever the manager would be. Betfred selection for this game?
I think I've gone for a draw. I think it is a draw. I think I might be right. I think it's going to be a draw, just because West Ham do not have Antonio, and I'm thinking, where are the goals going to come from? Because I looked at Haller the other night, and I'm thinking, you got to give me more. They paid a lot of money for you, and you're not giving me enough, so I'm going to go for a draw.
Thinking of getting your boots back on then, watching him?
Yeah, I might as well. Is it, Scott? No.
What do you think, Mark?
I would be worried about Haller, because he just didn't move against Liverpool. He didn't sort of show for the ball, and then he was up against sort of inexperienced defenders. But I still think that West Ham will win this game. And if you're looking for somebody maybe to score first, maybe somebody like Souček, who there was talk that he could go up front and sort of be their Fellaini. So that might be one to watch out for.
Yeah, he's good at set pieces. Great win for Fulham on Monday. Really pleased for Scott Parker. But it's a West Ham win for me, and to nil as well. I can't see Fulham. Yeah, you knew I'd say that.
I knew you'd say that.
Okay, game preview 7. West Brom against Spurs. I know you two are looking forward to this one. Look, let's talk about West Brom first. We've just spoken about Fulham. It's one thing to be outclassed by a much better side. It's another thing to say that Fulham are more committed. How worried should the Albion fans be that Slaven Bilic came out and said that?
He's right, though. They were outworked. They didn't lay a glove on Fulham. West Brom were poor. I watched the game. Fulham were brilliant. They were at it from the first minute, and that's not a Slaven Bilic performance. You know what you're going to get from Slaven Bilic. As soon as you cross that white line, his players have to work hard. If you're not playing well, he can accept that, but he can't give up. And I'm not saying that the players did give up, obviously, but Slaven's come out and said they weren't. It didn't look like. That's not a West Brom and a Slaven Bilic performance. So they'll have to butt their ideas up, because they've got a lot of talented players, but they're not producing at this precise moment.
Yeah, and that was such a massive game, wasn't it? Yeah. With all due respect, 2 teams that are favoured to go down. You got to win it. If not, don't lose it.
You're right, Scott. You're playing in the Premier League, and when you're not the fancy team, then you're against another team that could struggle with relegation. You have to win, or at least come away when you're away from home with a point. Yeah.
Played Burnley, Brighton and Fulham, teams you'd expect to be around them. No wins, 1 point, 3 points in total. Higazi's gone, Bilic wasn't happy. What positives are there at the moment?
Well, they're in the Premier League and they weren't last year. That's about
for this season.
Yeah. Whether it's sort of just borrowed, I don't know. That sort of Bilic sort of his blow up after the Higazi one didn't sit very comfortably. I don't think, when he starts digging out people for sort of not telling him what was going on, and he was sold from without his knowledge, and that's not where you need to be in terms of sort of pulling in the same direction and sort of everyone sort of working to the same plan. And he was digging out the ball before, wasn't he? Because they weren't signing the striker. They eventually got Carlin Grant in, but it was late, and so it's not. It doesn't feel like a happy sort of camp. And among the favourites to go, he's right up there in terms of being first out.
Okay, let's lighten the mood, especially for you two as well. Positives for Spurs. Gareth Bale.
I was listening to Clinton on the radio on Sunday, and he said Bale was going to score the winner, and he did.
I just felt it. I just felt it was Bale's time. I don't know Gareth Bale personally, but I think when you go back to one of your old clubs and you're itching to play football and prove all the doubters wrong in Real Madrid who are questioning him, has he still got it? And he might not be the same Bale that's going to beat 3 or 4 players and stuff like that with his pace. But one thing you don't do is leave Gareth Bale 6 yards out with a free header. It was a great ball in from Reguilon. Great header from Gareth Bale. It's something what he needed, and probably the only thing is you wanted Tottenham fans in the stadium at that time, but it was a great moment for Gareth Bale.
No doubt he's been a great player, truly world-class player, probably our greatest export ever in football. But what Gareth Bale are Spurs fans getting now, and are they expecting the one from a few years back, even in the Real Madrid shirt?
I don't think they're expecting a few years back. No, definitely not. He's had a few injuries, hasn't played as much, but experience. And he's still got class. If they get a free kick, 9 times out of 10, he'll pull it in the top corner. He'll create stuff. Jose came out after and said he brought him on for his experience when they're winning games, to see out a game. And he'll help some of those youngsters. If you're a youngster, Scott, and you're on the pitch and you look to your side and you've got Gareth Bale giving you information, that's brilliant. Even I'm older than him, but even if I was on the pitch with him, I'd still be listening to Gareth. I still listen to Gareth Bale because I've got so much respect for what he's done in the game.
So what about that front three then? How good could they be this season?
They can be brilliant, to be fair. It's a difficult one because obviously Kane and Son are always, them two have been outstanding so far. I think when Bale gets up to match fitness, it will be Gareth Bale. But they've got a lot of options. Lucas Moura, Bergwijn, Lamela. Tottenham have got a lot of attacking options. So Tottenham fans are exciting, as you can see here. I'm happy talking about it.
Very excited. And he's smiling.
And he's smiling
as well.
Yeah.
Just don't mention the defence.
No, we can't mention it.
So how does Mourinho approach this?
I think that maybe the Mourinho of a few years ago would have just sat back and waited and just accepted a 1-0. But I think he realises and he's got some sort of some new assistants around him now that I think want to play in a more aggressive way. And I think he's looked at sort of he's not, for whatever Mourinho is, he's not stupid. You can say he's been left behind. He can see sort of where Klopp and Guardiola have taken their teams, and I think he's trying to match Liverpool really with the way that Kane plays in that Firmino role. And I expect them to play quite aggressively against West Brom and just look to beat them convincingly, like they have done in a lot of their Premier League away games so far.
And they're scoring for fun at the moment. Will they score for fun here? Your Betfred selection?
Yeah, I've gone for a Tottenham win. I think it could be like 4-1. Scott, that high, yeah. I'm not giving you a proper prediction like that, but being a Tottenham fan.
Quickly searching for the odds on 4-1.
4-1,
Spurs.
yeah.
Mark?
Tottenham to win and over 2.5 goals. That plays into the fact that Spurs could run riot, or if defensively they're a bit dozy, they could concede one as well.
Yeah, Spurs for me, even -1 on the handicap. I think we're full house here. But good luck to Slaven Bilic, I have to say. Game preview 8, Leicester City against Wolves. Really good game, this one, isn't it? I mean, Leicester, very impressive against Leeds, weren't they? And tactics absolutely spot on.
Yeah, they were. I think Brendan Rodgers has done a brilliant job. I really rate him as one of the best managers in the Premier League at this precise moment. And they've got a lot of injuries. If you look at their defensive, the 3 at the back, they obviously played Young Thomas as a wing back, but Fuchs is coming there, done well. Young Fofana, only 19 years of age, is going to get better. They ain't got no Soucek, no Evans, no Ndidi. The list can go on and on. So Leicester are doing well at the moment. And yeah, Brendan Rodgers slowly going about his business quietly with a big smile on his face.
What did you make of his comments after the game to say that British managers perhaps don't get the credit that foreign managers do?
Yeah, I can understand where he's coming from because he's thinking he should get credit and they should be talking about how well he's doing. And yeah, I can definitely understand where he's coming from. We do talk about Jurgen Klopp and the Pep Guardiolas, but they are the best. They are the cream of the crop. But Brendan Rodgers, we should be talking about and giving him huge credit because tactically we talking about how good Bielsa is and how he's a master. Brendan Rodgers went there with his Leicester team and was brilliant.
Leicester second. We've seen it before. And in these strange times, strange things are happening.
You saying Leicester can do a Leicester?
Can Leicester do a Leicester?
No, I don't think so. The Europa League at the moment's not an issue for them, but I think it can be, and they were clear of that last year and fell away. They're not showing it at the moment, but I think the big two are still quite a bit better than the rest. And then you've got somebody like Chelsea and even Tottenham with their depth of squad. It's going to need sort of more, I think, from what we've seen in Leicester. It wasn't that long ago they were getting beat 3-0 by West Ham themselves. So, I think sort of top six has got to be the aim for Leicester again. Leicester
are fantastic on the counter-attack. I think Brendan Rodgers said that they have the best counter-attacking player in Jamie Vardy. Now, Wolves are capable of a possession game, but also counter-attacking themselves.
Yeah.
How do they set up in this one?
I think Wolves will let Leicester dominate. I think they will, because Leicester are at home, they'll let Leicester dominate. Wolves are better on the counter-attack. They're much better on the counter-attack. But they've not been playing Adama Traore. Podence has been playing Neto. Neto's really good. But I think the goal Podence got against Crystal Palace will give him confidence. I think there was too much reliant on Jimenez. Outstanding centre-forward. For me, probably one of the best in the Premier League at this moment for number 9. He's an excellent player. And they've got a lot of good players and defensively really good with Connor Cody and Bolly and the young boy Kilman. They've got a good back three there. So it'll be an interesting game, but when you've got Jamie Vardy in the team, he causes any defence problems.
So it's almost like no one wants the ball, is that what we're saying?
Yeah,
Two counter-attacking teams here.
Boot it to the other team and kick off.
It's interesting how Nuno approaches this though, isn't it?
It's interesting in as much as I did wonder whether they might sort of try to be more progressive, but I don't think he's got his way of playing, and the players are so comfortable playing in it, and it becomes interesting because the onus will be on Leicester, and the only time I don't fancy Vardy to score is against sort of those packed defences when there's no space in behind. So it could be a tough watch. In as much as neither team really wants the ball.
Do you know what? It could be different, and you're spot on. Wolves will sit back, and that's a game where Maddison probably starts and under, who come on and set the goal up for Jamie Vardy. He's done it the last two. Them two come in and start because they can unlock defences. So Brendan might change it out, take two of the players that played against Leeds and put them two at home, and then you'd say, well done, Brendan. And then we start talking about him, and he will get loads of praise.
He's watching this, listen to you, and he
All
probably
right, that's
do
for
that
you,
now.
Brendan.
So well done, Clinton.
Thank you,
well done, Brendan. No, it's a really good point, though.
Yeah.
Betfred selection for this one.
I've gone for a Leicester win.
I'm going to go for a Wolves draw no bet. I feel this is a good matchup for Wolves, that they do enjoy sort of playing on the counter attack.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good tactical game, not a game of many chances, and I'm going for a low score draw on this one. Okay, game preview 9, Super Sunday indeed. It is game of the weekend, no doubt. Manchester City against Liverpool. Look, the two best teams in recent years. Okay, let's have the chat now. It seemed a really good question Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an obvious one now, but I actually heard John Barnes on the radio saying, look, if you're playing at Atlanta or a Leeds, you play a Jota. If you need more possession, you play a Firmino. So Jota or Firmino on this one?
I think he's going to play Firmino. I just think that front three, he's going to play them. And I think Jota, if it's not working out, he'll be on early. There'll be some games where he can play all four together, but not against Man City, because I think Man City will dominate possession. But I also think Liverpool will have spells where they're going to have to be reliable. And Firmino's the best at that. Jota wants to go that way. Firmino's so clever. He drops into spaces and enables Mane and Salah to go in behind. So I think it's going to be difficult because he just scored a hat-trick. And how are you going to say to Jota you're being left out?
I was just about to say, what would you be like if you scored a hat-trick and then the gaffer taps you on the shoulder and says, you're on the bench on the biggest game of the season?
I'd be fuming, but then I'd understand I have to bide my time, and I am knocking on the door, and it is close. And it's a hard one for Jurgen Klopp. You want that. When you brought in someone like Jota and he's scoring goals, you do want that. But I think he's going to start Firmino.
It's incredible the impact he's made. We've touched on it, but I mean that front three. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, it does, doesn't it? It's any 3 or 4 now.
And the strange thing is, when people were talking about maybe which one would need replacing, I think most people were saying, oh, you could get an upgrade on Firmino, maybe. But most people were suggesting sort of a more typical number 9 centre-forward type that would go in and improve them in that position. And then it turns out that it's just another sort of wide player that can play through the middle instead. It's remarkable, really, to see the impact that he's made so soon, because I mean, if he would have been doing this in 6 months' time, I think you would have said, oh, this is great stuff. But to be doing it in 6 weeks, it's rare, I think, for somebody to go into a team like the champions. And he's come from Wolves, with all sort of respect to them. It's not like he's sort of come in as like £100 million signing. So
he's playing like one, isn't
he?
He
is, yeah, he is, yeah, absolutely.
I agree. I think he will go for Firmino.
Yeah.
But I think he kind of plays someone, if they're in great form, just let them go out and play. And if Firmino has to sit for this particular game, unlucky that he's going to have to maybe
I think you're spot on. That's a great point you make. I think when you're in form as a centre forward or as a wide man scoring that much goals, you got to just let him keep on playing him. So you are right, but I bet Jurgen Klopp goes for Firmino.
I agree.
But I think you're spot on, though.
I agree. I mean, City, they should have put Sheffield United out of sight, but they won the game. Great result against Olympiacos. How do you see them coming into this one?
I feel like they're a bit better defensively, but it's one thing being solid against Sheffield United, another against Mane and Salah and whoever else plays up front. But Diaz and Laporte feels like a safer combination than anything they've had for a while, really. Just in those two positions, you don't feel like they're going to do something stupid, which is particularly in this fixture, normally at Anfield, but they've done some crazy things defensively in this game and conceded early on against Liverpool and just given them the onus. You don't feel like that will happen with Laporte and Diaz, and Walker's playing. I think Guardiola said sort of he's best football as well. The big weakness is probably at left back, where Mendy hasn't recovered from those injuries. Zinchenko, I don't think is capable of playing at this level of game as a defender. And you're then wondering if maybe this is the game where Ake comes in and could play as a left back.
I agree. I think Ake is going to come in and play as a left back. I think that's a great point he makes. I think he'll want to be solid. I agree with him about the other two fullbacks not being, and Zinchenko. Mendy's injured, but Zinchenko, hasn't been good enough. So I totally agree. I think Ake will come in.
So what about up front then? We saw Jesus coming off the bench, scoring.
I'd play him.
He's fit. Is he match fit? Torres has done well in that position as almost like a false nine. Yeah. What would you do?
It's a difficult one. I like Jesus. I really do like Jesus, and he'd come off the bench and score, but probably Pep will play Torres. He'll probably play Sterling, and then he'll probably play, it's either Mahrez or Foden, one of those the wide men out wide. So it's a difficult one. It's a hard one. I'd play Jesus though. I like Jesus. I just like what he gives you. He's good with his back to go, and he can also go in behind.
Yeah. Okay, your Betfred selection for game of the week.
This was the hardest one, Scott. I was going to go for a draw, then I changed my mind. I'm just going to go for a Liverpool win.
Liverpool to nick it?
Yeah, just to nick it.
What would that mean in terms of the significance? I know it's very early days, but...
It would be big. I know Man City have got a game in hand, but it still would be big. It's a big result. If Liverpool do beat Man City, full of confidence Liverpool will be, and there won't be all that talk about so much Virgil van Dijk at the moment. So I think it's a big game for Liverpool and a huge game for Man City.
Who would you go for?
I'm going to go for Man City. Home advantage isn't worth as much anymore. I still think it's worth something to Man City, who've done quite well against Liverpool at the Etihad. They've tended to crumble at Anfield more than anything. And I think this may be the game where Van Dijk's absence is felt.
One of us is going to be right. I'm going for the draw.
There you go, yeah.
I think they'll kind of cancel each other out. I think it's a game that City cannot afford to lose. Yeah. I don't want to say it's a must-win. But looking at it, I can see them cancelling each other out, and the draw looks a good bet as well. So one of us is going to be right, we'll see. Okay, game preview 10. The last one of this weekend before the international was Arsenal against Aston Villa. How big was that win psychologically for Arsenal at Old Trafford? It was a very good performance as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a good performance, but they hadn't had any results over the last few games before that. So it was a big result for Arsenal, and especially going to Old Trafford and playing the way they did. They were excellent, and they thoroughly deserved to come away with the 3 points. But I think Mikel Arteta is doing a brilliant job. And the signing of Partey, he showed his quality in midfield. What a signing he is going to turn out to be. I don't like to make comparisons, Scott, but
you're going to?
Yeah, because I think if he keeps progressing and he can improve in the next few years, he could be just like Patrick. I wish. Way better than me. Patrick Vieira, because I think they've missed that. And that is big thing because Patrick Vieira, for me, was one of the best midfielders of his generation. But I think Partey's got the lot as well.
Yeah, I think Roy Keane mentioned that as well. So you're not alone in sort of...
That's good then. I'm a bit happy now.
I mean, we've talked about this, Mark. Some people have been criticising Mikel Arteta recently. I think very, very harshly indeed. What do you think in terms of, it's a process, isn't it? That's obviously going to take some time.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't agree with the criticism of him. I mean, last year he won the FA Cup. He beat Man City and Chelsea en route to winning that FA Cup. It wasn't like they, played a load of championship teams, because you can get lucky in a cup run, but they didn't. They also beat Liverpool. I even felt when they went away to Anfield, Liverpool played as well as what Liverpool could play. They were brilliant, and Arsenal stayed in that could have been 5 like before, and they stayed in it. And if Lacazette scores the chance, maybe that's a completely different game. Even at Man City, that's another one where they usually get hammered, and they didn't, and it was only 1-0. They maybe didn't create enough chances, and that maybe you could say the same again at Old Trafford. Were they ever really going to score until they got given the penalty? So that's the next step in the process. But I think Arteta, and people have said it about Arsenal for a long time, is that you need to get the organisational. Yeah. If you get that right, then you could. The attack will eventually look after itself because of the quality they've got in the final third. He had to sort the defence first.
They look the most organised for a decade, I say. Before we move on to Villa, top 4 should be the aim for Arsenal. Do you think they can get there?
They've got a good chance. I said at the start of the season, if there was anyone, it would be Arsenal. But obviously, I think that's changed now because of the way this is a crazy, crazy season. So I think they might just miss out this season on the top 4, but it's still open for anyone. I just think Tottenham have emerged now and look really strong, and there's a lot of other teams in with a chance, Leicester as well. So I think Arsenal might just miss out, but they'll be aiming to finish in the top 6 and win a trophy this season.
Yeah, 6 or 7 sides, if not more, are aiming for top 4, aren't they, this season? Where are Villa right now? They won the first 4 games. They've lost the last 2. They've conceded 7 in those 2 matches. But they did show character towards the end against Southampton. A little bit too late, mind.
Yeah, they started poor. I think they were poor in the first half against Southampton. Really poor. Obviously, Leeds played ever so well against Aston Villa, conceding a lot of goals. But some of the goals they conceded against Southampton, you've got to look at Ward-Prowse and say it's brilliance, from a free kick to 3 set pieces, to be fair. His deliveries in, and 2 of them were obviously his goals, brilliant free kicks. So it's a difficult one. But going forward, I thought second half, Jack Grealish, outstanding. Ross Barkley, really good. Ollie Watkins obviously got his goal, I know, from the penalty spot. They have got a lot of good attacking options, and I think they'll cause Arsenal problems on the day. But I think Villa will be fine this season. Dean Smith has bought really well in the summer, really well. He's bought clever. So they're just going through a sticky patch. But I know Villa fans get excited. They won a few games and they thought they're going to win the Premier League. With my old Birmingham hat on there.
Yeah, that's a shock.
Yeah.
You had to get a little dig in
there.
I
did.
Yeah. So, what Betfred selection are we saying here? An Arsenal win?
Yeah, I'm just going for an Arsenal win.
That must hurt you saying that.
Only a tiny bit. But I think Aston Villa have done ever so well. Got some good players, and they will cause Arsenal problems, and they will score goals as well. I think it'll be a high-scoring match, but just going for Arsenal to win it.
Okay, what do you think?
I'm going to go for Arsenal to win and both teams to score. Having said about how well Arsenal have done defensively, I think Villa have got a lot going forward, but will get beat.
I actually think Arsenal will win this, but I think they'll keep a clean sheet. I think they'll be very well organised, and again, I think it's a game of not many goals. So, but I do think Arsenal will win. Okay, let's have a look at the best fantasy football picks this weekend. We pick a player we think will perform the best. Who have you gone for?
Easy to win this one. Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane will be outstanding this weekend, and that's not being disrespectful to West Brom, but I just think the form he's in at the moment is brilliant. I think West Brom are low on confidence at this precise moment, and I think the way he's playing, his partnership with Son is really good, and he's such a clever footballer. He's even defending in his own box, dropping into little pockets, creating chances, and he always comes off the pitch with a goal, Harry Kane. So, yeah, he's going to be my man.
He's playing like one of the best fullbacks at the moment, let alone number 10 and number 9. Who have you gone for?
I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for telling people to get Jota in your team really cheap last week. This week I'm going for another cheap one. Crystal Palace have got a really nice run of fixtures coming up. Riedewald in midfield for them has been... Well, he's been, revelation might be a bit strong, but he's definitely improved a lot really from what we'd seen at the start. He's already got 1 goal this season. If Palace are to start moving up the table, they need to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of getting players forward. And he's definitely a nice cheap one to sort of get in your squad.
Can see you nodding there.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's been there 2 or 3 years and they haven't played him. Roy didn't play him, and a few injuries. He's come in and been excellent. He's keeping out Milivojevic. I know he got sent off, but he's keeping him out. And I think he'll play in there with James McArthur this weekend.
Okay, I've gone for a bit more of an expensive one. I'll go Timo Werner. I think he can play anywhere. I expect him to play up front this coming weekend. Sheffield United, even though they're not playing particularly bad, I can see Chelsea winning this and him filling his boots on this one. So Timo Werner is my shout. Team treble. We pick one team that we think will win and we explain why, Clinton.
Well, I've gone for Tottenham. I think they'll win comfortably against West Brom. I just think West Brom are in bad form at the moment and Tottenham are flying. As I said, you look at Tottenham's attacking options, it's brilliant. Even we talk about the front players, I think in midfield, Belly, he's been outstanding. He's a super talented player, Scott. I think for me, he's probably the most talented that Tottenham have got for the way he can manipulate that ball. He's so talented. Just probably needs to add a few more goals and get his fitness up. But I think in midfield, he looks really good. So I can only see Tottenham winning this game against West Brom comfortably.
So just on Belly versus Dele Alli.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. But at this precise moment, Belly, I'm going to go for, because I just feel he's super talented. I like Dele Alli, and I don't know why he's not involved in the squad, but Jose sees something different than we see in training at this precise moment.
Okay, who are you going for?
I've gone for a sort of short price favourite in the FA Cup. It's Salford to beat Hartlepool. Salford spent a lot of money even by sort of League One standards. They're in League Two. They've got a good squad, a big squad. Hartlepool beaten 5-0 by Torquay in their recent game.
Okay, sorry, Clinton. I've gone for Leeds to win at Selhurst.
Well, that's fine.
I think Leeds are a side, I loved covering them last season, loved watching them. I think they'll be completely fine, sort of 10th to 15th this season. I think they'll lose to the teams they should lose to. I think they'll beat the teams they should. And I actually think they'll finish above Palace this season as well. So
that means if they finish above Palace, they're going to finish 9th, because Palace is going to finish 10th.
Is that right?
I don't know. I'm hoping.
Mate, really good to see you again.
No, thanks very much.
What are you up to this weekend? Are we watching you on Soccer Saturday?
Yeah, Soccer Saturday on Saturday, so it should be good, a good laugh. Yeah, watch it, everyone watch it, and yeah, listen to me talking about football.
Yeah.
Trying to.
Well, we've certainly enjoyed it anyway, Mark.
Absolutely.
Yeah, have a great weekend.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, that's it. We're back next week. We'll look back on the final weekend of Premier League games, of course, before the international break. Look ahead to the international games as well. And of course, as we say every week, please, on behalf of Betfred and also the Racing Post, if you do gamble, please gamble responsibly.